Hello there, Eagles fans, and welcome back to our Eagles Therapy Podcast. My name is Basil.
And I'm Baz.
And we are recording Friday, December 22nd, 2023, a couple days ahead of the Eagles-Giants matchup, but coming on Christmas Day. Dad, what you think going forward?
Well, I think we're a few days here before Christmas, and I'd love a nice Christmas present on Christmas Day at about 5 o'clock Christmas night. Hopefully we can win this game and just get back on track because it's been a rough month of December for all of us, I think. And, there's only one way to turn this around, and that's to win this game. We can worry about the other two later, but we need to win this game.
Yeah.
And, just it's a good time of year. The weather's great. Everything's happening. So let's just hope we can get that win and have some fun.
Yeah. I was thinking today when I was walking, when I was coming up to your house, like, it's too bad. Last year, my brother-in-law and my sister came out, Mary and Jake. They came out for Christmas, and it was like the coldest, in history in Colorado Springs. Not really, but one of the coldest times. And they were here when it was freezing.
Yes.
And it was a bad example, but it's just funny because now this year, 3 days before Christmas, and it's, 60 out, 50 out?
55 for a high.
Just crazy. It's so
30
funny.
at light. Yeah, it's been great.
Just so funny how it works. But, we're going to be covering the Eagles-Giants game coming up on Monday, like we said, Christmas Day. Talk about some injuries, some other good sports stuff going around in the Philadelphia area. But as always, we want to give a little shout-out to our club. We are part of the Philadelphia Eagles fan club in Colorado Springs. It's a group on Facebook. If you're a fan of the Eagles, you can join it. If you're in the Colorado area, they'll ask you some questions, making sure you're, related to the reason, have a reason to join the group. But if you are part of that group, or if you're looking to join, or you find us, we watch every single game at Frankie's on Powers and Galley here in Colorado Springs. Come on out. We'd love to see you. Like we said last week, there's new people every single week. We worry that we kind of scare them off a little bit, maybe. But.
Yeah, because there's new people every week. But hopefully this week they're going to be open for us on Christmas Day, which is a big sacrifice for the families of the people working at the bar. So if you do show up, make sure you give them a little extra in your little stocking for their troubles. But we're hoping to get a pretty good crowd. It's a rough, it's going to be Christmas Day afternoon, so it's going to be tough. But
usually around the time people eat, a lot of times people eat around 2, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock.
Yes.
So there's not, we're not expecting a huge turnout, but we really would like to see some people out there just to support Frankie's, of course.
We know some are already going to be there. We got a little messaging going on, so we know we're going to have somewhat of a crowd. But the good thing is you and I are going to be able to do Sunday for Christmas dinner the day before, of course, Christmas Eve, and we'll be watching some Sunday football as well that day. So
absolutely
cheering for all the teams we need to lose.
Yeah, that's right. Yep. Let's just go ahead and jump into it then. Like we stated before, the Eagles are playing the New York Giants Monday in Philly, I believe, correct? Am I right there?
Yes,
good. Yeah,
Philly.
Sorry. In Philly, 4:30 p.m. Eastern time, 2:30 for us out here in the Colorado Springs area. Dad, what do you have for the weather watch?
Weather's going to be nice. It's going to be 54 for a high, 42 for a low. So it's going to be probably in the high 40s when the game kicks off in Philadelphia time. No rain. From what I see, 9%, maybe 15% is the best I have. No winds, very light and variable. So it's going to be a good game for weather conditions, at least. We've been hammered the last few month and a half for weather games. So
I know.
Doesn't matter. We need to win the game. We should have won last week with what we had going on, and we need to win the game. They just need to not try and get sexy, not try and be fun, just get some points on the board and win the game.
Yeah, I think I saw a post the other day that was saying the Eagles this week are going to be playing their first outdoor stadium game that hasn't had rain since November 5th. So it's been a long time since we played outdoors, not in the rain. It's crazy. We had the Kansas City, the Buffalo, and then, of course, the Niners one was outside, and it was pretty rainy, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. Yeah. And that wasn't awful, but it was bad.
Yeah, and so was the Seahawks game. So it's kind of funny. Our last 4 outdoor games have been in pouring rain.
Yeah.
But, it'll be nice to have some weather, good weather, looking forward to just to watch on the TV because I'm getting tired of seeing this rain, and Jalen's got his eyes closed, and it's just frustrating to see.
Yeah.
But go ahead and jump into the all-time series record. The Eagles lead 92-87-2. So we're leading there, 92 wins, 87 losses, and only 2 ties. In the postseason, we've met 5 times. We lead that 3-2. Over the last 25 years, we've matched up 54 times. 50 in the last 25 years, of course, as our regular, 2 games a season, and then 4 postseason games in the last 25 years. So in the last 25 years, 54 matchups, we lead 34-20. So it's kind of funny because, I always talk to you about, and some of the other people in the club, the Giants, the Eagles and Giants have such a huge rivalry, but in my lifetime, I've never, at least as a fan, I've never felt that much of a rivalry with them because it felt like it was kind of lopsided. It felt like we'd always kind of won.
Right.
I think I was looking in the last 13, we've won 12, they've won 1. You know what I mean? Like we've kind of ran the ship for quite a long time there. But it's funny looking back in '98 when I was born, like they won for 5 straight years, swept us. I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize that for the first
There's a great show on I don't know if it's YouTube now, but it was a great show that came out many, many years ago, and it was amazing. It was about the Eagles-Giants rivalry.
Okay.
And it had a lot of our announcers in there, through the years that, were interviewed about it, and I'm sure the Giants as well. But it was great just to see how, like, in the 70s, they beat us, and then in the 80s, we beat them, and then in the 90s, went back and forth. Of course, they got the Super Bowls there in the late 80s, which was hard for us to, chew. But, it's just really, it was interesting to see how it went. But, yeah, I would say of all the teams in the NFL, even though the Cowboys are a hated rival, the Giants, we've been playing them since the 40s, probably 30s.
So I was looking it up the other day just for fun. I was with my coworker, and he's a Packers fan, and we were talking about, how long teams have been around, and like, the Packers and Bears, they're like 2 of the oldest teams. The
20s.
Cardinals are the oldest team.
Right.
Kind of funny with all that stuff. But we talked about how like the Eagles and Giants, they're both in the top 10 of oldest teams.
Sure.
So it makes sense that their rivalry is so historic.
But it's funny when you think about it.
One of the longest.
The rivalry back, and I'd have to look this up, but I don't think they played each other twice back in the old days. That would be something to look up, say like the 1945 season, and to see how many times you play your interdivision rival.
Oh, I mean, back then when we were winning championships in 48, 49, we only played 13 games a season.
Right.
Like, it was such a different
how would you play them? Yeah. But there weren't that many teams in the league, of course.
Of course, yeah.
So. But yeah, that'd be something to look up to see if you did a home and away with your division rival back then, because that's something I've never really looked up.
For sure. Yeah, definitely. So I'll ask you this, Dad, and I know it's hard because there's so many. Before I ask you actually this one, how many, just hopefully you answer this question correctly, how many miracles in the Meadowlands are there?
Well, you have, I think, 2.
Okay.
Right? So you have the Miracle in the Meadowlands.
Yep.
Then you had the Miracle in the New Meadowlands.
Which one? The Deshaun?
Right, okay. The Deshaun punt. But you got the fumbled by Pisarcek back in 78, 7, 9. And then you have, of course, the Clyde Simmons field goal touchdown, which...
See, for me, there's 4.
Great game.
There's 4. There's the number 1 is obviously the original Herm Edwards.
The fumble, if you want to call it that.
Yes, the original Miracle in the Meadowlands.
Right. And Zonka.
Number 2 is, Zonka. Number 2 is the Clyde Simmons. They blocked our field goal.
Right.
He got it, and he ran it in the end zone for a touchdown.
Yeah. And if you don't like Bill Parcells, it'd be great to watch that clip because his mind blows.
Dude,
his head.
He can't advance that. He's screaming at the refs. It's
great coach, though. It's funny how you have teams you hate, right?
Yeah.
Rivals. Always like Bill Parcells. Always wanted them, just talk to him, and he just seemed like such a great, gritty coach.
Yeah.
No flair, no fake plays, just play football.
And now number 3 would be, and I'm sorry, I don't remember the exact year. It's 02 or 03.
Okay.
With Brian Westbrook.
Oh yeah, the
punt return touchdown.
Kickoff.
Punt. No, it's a punt. It was a punt
return. Yes.
Yeah.
With less than about a minute and 5 left.
I think it was like 48 seconds.
That was great, man. That was a great one.
Yeah.
So
Michael Strahan's on the sidelines.
14-13 or 13-7.
I think it was 13-10. Like I think we were down maybe 13. Maybe we were losing 13-7.
Yeah.
And then we won 14-7.
Westbrook's rookie year.
Yeah, so 02, 01 maybe.
Yeah, we're definitely in that range.
Yeah, and then
that was a great one.
And then the 4th one was of course Deshaun Jackson.
Yeah.
And I've always said it's a bummer that the 62-yarder by Jake, 61-yarder by Jake in 2017 week 3
wasn't.
It's too bad it wasn't in New York because that'd be number 5.
Yeah, that was another. But we've had our snake bite games against them too.
Of course. Well, in 2020.
We always talk about you always ask me to do a favorite memory of a Giants game. And I didn't really have one because we were out this morning running around buying some stuff. So Christmas shopping a little bit. But at the same time, so just one just came to me. And that would be Eli's last game against us on a Monday night when he came in. And I remember, I forget, I guess it was Daniel Jones was starting instead of him. And for whatever reason, they broke up the streak. Yeah. They brought him in and he started Monday night. And, he came out in the first quarter and was just zipping it.
Yep.
And I believe we were down 14-0. And I kept saying, man, no, we're going to win. It's good. Yeah, we're going to win the game. And we ended up winning the game. I don't have a score for you, but that was a favorite Giants memory because Eli, as much as we disliked him when he played for them, he was another player that I always liked. I mean, he took a stand in the draft and went to a team that wanted to win, and he ended up winning 2 Super Bowls. And it's funny because we beat him so many times, but he won 2 Super Bowls in that same era. So, but he knew when to get hot and when to play right. But that's a favorite memory of mine.
One of the better postseason quarterbacks ever. I mean, I know we don't want to get into all this history and stuff, but we talk about Joe Flacco.
Right, he had one season,
just one of the greatest.
But Manning had several.
Manning, I mean, not just Manning, but Foles, postseason quarterback, one of the greatest ever. Like
exactly,
it just doesn't make sense. But it's funny that it's a whole other season, so you never know what can happen there. But I remember that was 2019, right?
Okay,
we had to win out to win the division.
I would say yes.
Yeah, it was that season. Yeah, 2019 season.
And here's the thing: I was looking up real quick. I was looking up some of our some old games and things that something piqued my interest. And I looked up 2020. Yeah. And Daniel Jones was a quarterback in 2020. Yeah. And I went, wow, he's been around that many seasons already. Like, it's funny how time goes slow, but when you go in NFL seasons, you're like, oh my gosh, that was 10 years ago or 20 years ago.
Yeah.
I know for instance, just a few weeks ago, the Snow Bowl game was 10 years ago.
Wow.
Just like a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
And if you remember that game, I was down in Texas for work. So I was sitting in my hotel, moving the TV and chairs around. So I had my own little area going. And it was one of the few games that I get to watch before the game starts. Usually I was busy during the day.
Watching the pregame.
So I was watching the pregame and they kept cutting to Philly and it was sunny and cold. Then they cut away. They come back right before the kickoff, and there's 3 inches of snow on the ground.
Hilarious.
Unbelievable. I'm like, what is this? That was really an awesome moment.
That was crazy. Unbelievable. Yeah, that's funny. I'm thinking of a favorite memory as well.
Go ahead.
Is not really one of my favorite memories, but something that comes to mind. I believe it was the 2020 season.
Okay.
And we were losing the game to the Giants. I don't remember where it was. Probably in the link, but I don't recall exactly where it was. But I was here in the Springs at the time visiting my now wife.
Right.
Visiting her, and you guys were, we were back in Arizona during COVID and stuff like that.
Right.
And I came out here and we were kind of losing the whole game. We just couldn't. It was just one of those games where, like we're about to go to, I don't know, 2-4 or something like that.
That was a bad year.
A bad year.
Bad year for us.
I just remember it was like, oh man, like this game's just been rough. And then end of the game, Evan Ingram dropped a wide open pass on 3rd down and 5. So
nice.
4th down, they punted to us. That was the big season where we kept on every wide receiver was hurt. Alshon Jeffrey, Aguilar, lefty.
Yes.
That was the game. Deshaun, he was back, and then he got hurt in the game doing a punt return on a late hit. That didn't get called.
It was not called. I remember that one. Yes.
But then we drove down the field with Travis Fulgham, Greg Ward, and I would say the other guy was John Hightower at the time.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Driving down the field with those 3 guys.
Jeez.
We went down and he hit Boston Scott in the end zone on a 3rd down, and it was like 3rd and goal, but it was
that one.
Never was right over his head.
How he even caught it is amazing.
It was a 3rd and goal with at the 15 or 16 yard line because Kelsey had a false start or something like that.
Right.
So it was like 3rd and goal from the 12 or 13. It's like this is almost an impossible time to end. Perfect throw right over the defender into Boston Scott's hand. We won the game 22-21.
So that was at the Vet. I'm sorry.
Okay.
At the link.
It was at the link. Okay.
It was a home game.
Yeah.
I just saw the score.
Miracle no, I'm sorry.
So that was 22-21. Yeah. So
if it was in Meadowlands, it'd be another one.
Could have have a nice 5 numbers, even better than an even 4. But
yeah.
We'll get another one maybe this year.
Yeah. Let's see.
Hopefully not. Yeah. Hopefully they're blowouts.
Hopefully, I know, right?
The way this season's gone, I'll take any win at all.
Agree.
Anyway, I don't care if it's 4 safeties and we win 8-7. I don't care.
Agreed. Dad, what Eagle are you most looking forward to coming up on Monday?
So, my track record hasn't been very good this year. I've picked this player, picked that player. Last week I picked Goddard, who did okay. He wasn't awful.
First drive, he was great. Then they forgot about him.
They do it every week. But this week I'm looking at Devontae Smith because I believe we need to run the ball. I know last week we were
DeAndre Swift.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I thought you said Smith. Sorry.
I probably did.
Okay.
Swift, the running back. Had that great run around the left side, slid in bounds, kept the clock going. We should have drove right down the field.
Thought the game was over then. It's kind of funny.
It should have been. But anyway, there was a play in that game. We talked about it already. But I'm hoping that he continues what he did last week because he, I don't think he put up big numbers or anything, but he was looking good again.
Yeah.
Finally, it looked like we were able to run the ball. Why we threw the ball in the end zone, that's another story.
Yeah. For me, the Eagle I'm most looking forward to is Jalen Hurts. It's been a long time since Jalen's faced this type of adversity, a 3-game losing streak, even a 2-game losing streak before last week. But it's just I need to see something. I need to see better decision making.
Yes.
I need to see. I don't know if it's, and I know we talked about this, but I don't know if it's maybe in the offseason. He ended both the last 2 seasons, his first year starting with us, and then his last year when he was great. He got injured at one point in the season.
Right.
Missed 2 games, missed 3 games last year.
Yeah.
Or sorry, just 2 games.
Yeah.
Missed 2 games the last 2 seasons. And I don't know if it maybe in the offseason they were like, hey, like, you got to be careful. Like, take it easy.
Right.
Don't get hurt. And I understand that. And I think that's what they've been doing, because when he runs, he slides and he kind of goes down and he kind of looks a little scared in the pocket. And I'm just like, I'm at the point where I'm like, you know what? One of these coaches needs to go and say, dude, just play.
Lay it out.
I know we've asked you to be careful, and maybe it will come back to bite us if they did. But at this point, his regression that he's had since last season, you got to go play. Just go play your football. I don't care. Play your brand of football. Yeah. I know we're trying to be conservative and careful, but go play your brand.
I wish they were conservative last week and they would have won the game instead of being, throwing that end zone pass. But, I mean, there was a few other plays in that game that, and I believe I talked about them, but that one he handed off when he should have kept it and ran the right side. It was wide open. It was a first down. It would have been a game winner.
It just feels like he hasn't been seeing the field much this year.
Yeah, that was one of the things. But I also believe, that he was sick during the week.
Oh, yeah.
And I would think after, 2 hours in the rain and, I'm not making excuses for him because, he's a big boy. But, it just seemed like, and if that was the case, then we had some comments come in saying, well, then you should have stuck Mariota in. And I firmly do believe that. Maybe even on the last drive, just say, hey, Mariota, let's run you a few times. Let's see what we can do with you. All of a sudden, you're going to see a quarterback come flying out of the, behind the line of scrimmage.
First and 10, hand it off, get 3 yards. Second and 10, hand it off the other way, keep it. You're fast. I know Hurts at 60% is not as fast as Mariota at 100%. Mariota's a fast dude. He hasn't had injuries to his legs. He hasn't had things hamper him. Like, he's a fast guy. You should have
used the weapons you have. Use the tools in your kit. And you could tell that. I mean, I know he's Hurts is never going to say, "Oh, I don't feel good."
I know.
But there's got to be a time where the coach goes, "Hey, your eyes are down. Look at me. I'm talking to you. Look, no, you have a few seats here. Let me pull Mariota out and let's see what we got."
Just a play or two.
We needed to win that game.
I know.
Everything fell into place the day before.
Yeah.
And now we just kind of I don't want to say anything bad.
I know, I get you. I don't want to get, but I just need to see more from Hurts. But I don't want to get into this whole matchup of the game because I'm tired of us sitting here talking about how we need to pressure the quarterback, because it seems to be the matchup every freaking week now. And if this defensive line, I don't get it. I don't understand. Maybe a new strategy for defensive line, like for our defensive line.
Right.
It's obvious that the quarterback's hike, throw. It's 2 seconds.
Yeah.
The defensive line has no chance to get there. Maybe the strategy should just be hike, touch, hands up.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
2 steps. You go that way, you go that way. And then all of a sudden they're going to be lost. Yeah. They're going to be flustered.
I would say just hands up, just block the pass.
Yeah.
If you can, because they're not getting there. And I don't want to sit here and talk about it. We've cried about it and been mad about it the last few weeks. But
really for a month.
Oh, absolutely.
Over a month.
Yeah.
And, there were a little stunts last week, and we had talked about that. There was a little pre-snap shifting, which is another thing that we talked about. So that was good. Maybe the word's getting down to Matt Patricia or something. But, it's been a debacle with us, benching our D coordinator and bringing up Patricia. And then, of course, the last drive of the game, they score a 92-yard drive. And, no time, one timeout left, 48 seconds, whatever. It was just bad. Clock management was awful again.
Want to get into the Giants team stats. Some good things to look forward to, but I don't know. I don't really trust anything anymore, so who cares? In total yards on their offense, they're 31st in the league, 291 per game. Passing yards, 150 per game. That's 32nd in the league last. Rushing yards, they're in the top 15. They're 15th with 111 rushing yards a game. 31st in points per game with 13.5. And the third down percentage on offense is the second to last in the league. They're 31st, 29.4% of the time.
Sorry, roll back. What was that last one? 31st in the league for?
Points per game.
Okay.
Yeah, they only score 13.5 points per game.
So the 31st in running the ball. Oh, no, passing the ball.
So they're 31st in total yards, 32nd in passing yards, 31st in points, and 31st in third down percentage.
Their own third down percentage.
Yeah, their offensive third down percentage.
Okay.
So they're bottom one in one of it. They're bottom 2 in 4 of the main statistical categories for an offense. They're 15th in rushing yards. That's still top half, but they're in the middle of the pack.
Yeah.
So that's some good stuff to look forward to. But with our defense on the field, I can't trust any of this
agree.
stuff. I don't
agree.
look forward to any of that.
The one thing they're going to have to watch for, and I'm sorry to interrupt you, is Daniel Jones is not out there, and he's a running quarterback, and that's why they have their rushing yards this season. Saquon hasn't been amazing. He's been good. He's always going to be
always good.
But Tommy DeVito's another one who has been running the ball. I've watched some of their games, and he finishes with 40, 30, 40, 50 yards rushing, and that throw that on top of Saquon's 60,
70,
whatever.
60, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, so that's where they're getting their 110, 111 yards from. So, Tommy didn't look very good last week, he got sacked, 6, 7 times in that one game I was watching.
Yeah. Well, the Eagles could never.
Yeah. That's what I'm looking for, but we'll see if that happens.
Defensive stats, total yards, 24th, 369 they allow per game.
Okay.
Passing yards, they allow 225. That's good for 19th. Rushing yards, they allow 131. That's 29th. Points, they allow 24. That's 25th in the league.
Right.
And third down percentage is their best. They're top 10. They only allow it 36.1% of the time, and that is 8th in the league as a defense. That one I'm not too worried about. We are I think we're number 1 still on offense as third down percentage.
Really?
Let me see. Now we're third, actually. Yeah. Great.
Yeah, well, we dipped a few weeks ago and
kind of
came back, but even
last
week.
Looking at that, they're neither side of the ball. Nothing to write home about on either side of the ball.
And that's why they're 4-9, 3-10.
Let me see. They're 5-9.
5-9.
Yeah, they're 5-9.
Okay.
But I don't trust any of this stuff with our defense on the field, so I really can't even get. Yeah. I can't even get excited about. They're bottom 2. I don't.
The only good thing
our
was
defense would allow a team to go from bottom 2 to top 15 in a game.
Well, the good thing though, and this was from last week's game. Tommy DeVito's kind of found out. They kind of know what you need to do against him. You got to not let him run the ball, and you got to get on him, and he'll throw picks. And
of course,
he really looked bad last week. They were riding high with him for a few weeks there. They had a 2 or 3 game win streak, maybe. They'd won a few games in a row.
Fortunately, I don't pay enough. I don't pay enough attention to them.
But they had won maybe 2 in a row or 3, and they were getting pretty excited about his play. And then he got really.
They did have they had a 3-game win streak.
That's what I
thought. They had the Commanders. They beat the Commanders. They beat the Patriots, and they beat the Packers. 3-game win streak.
Right. The Packers game I watched. They looked pretty good. Tommy looked good in that game. But last week, Saints.
Yeah.
Destroyed them.
Yeah, I know. I started the Saints defense in fantasy.
7 sacks, 8 sacks. They really. They had 5 in the first half.
Oh, okay.
3 or 4 in the first quarter. It was really.
Yeah.
So kind of exposed. There's some tape on him, so at least we've got that. I'm not going to hold my breath, but it's good that we've finally got away from playing the upper echelon teams. Now we need to find out if we can win games like we did early in the season.
Yeah.
Let me know. Throw some comments my way, but let me know. But that's really what I've been looking forward to. I really wish last week we had won. Then I'd really be into the football season again because I kind of lost it after the one loss.
How can you be excited right now?
Yeah, it was tough. And the Niners, the Niners game really knocked me down a notch, and I had to put up with hundreds of comments that nailed me. And it was fun, but at the same time, I didn't want to watch any highlights. So
I get you.
Get me back, baby.
Yeah, that's the bummer.
I
haven't watched Speak in 3 weeks now. It's a bummer,
I know.
Big roster change. The only one from this week. We did open the 21-day practice window for Maddox, so that's great to see. He's a big piece that we've been missing. That's kind of derailed our entire defense.
And so now his injury was not a knee or a back or a hip. It was an arm, right? A pec or something.
Yeah, it was a pec.
So it
was.
I feel better about that.
Yeah.
Because if it was a knee or something, we need some speed. Even if he can't get his arm out in front of the ball, we need somebody to do some covering. And really, man, if he could come back, it would be amazing. It would really be something.
As for the rest of the injury report, obviously we're recording today on Friday. The final injury report will be released around 2, and we're recording a little bit earlier than that. So, actually, I think the final injury report will be released tomorrow. So,
we're a little the Monday night game.
We're a little too ahead of that. So, we don't have the full up-to-date injury report, but we have the one from yesterday. Did not participate was Zach Cunningham with his knee. Landon Dickerson with his thumb. He's got thumb surgery,
for
so
sure.
He's going to be out for a bit. Nicholas
and
Morrow.
Who's filling in for him? Sorry. Opeta, right?
I would assume, but I can't. I don't know.
Because Cam will be back on the right side, so Opeta will go left instead of right, like last week.
Yeah, I don't know.
I know,
it's just hard. I don't know.
He's a good run blocker.
Opeta was always better on the left side, so maybe he will be good there.
He's a good run blocker too.
He is. Nicholas Morrow missed with an abdomen. Darius Slay with his knee. We were aware of that
He's
one.
not playing.
Devontae Smith, he's been hampering a knee injury for a bit. I think it's more so just to take it easy on him, just because he's running a lot of routes out there. But no limited participants. Full participants included Cam Jurgens, so that's big.
Right.
And then, of course, Avonte Maddox, which we talked about before. Good to see that he's a full participant, not a limited. It's nice to see that he's kind of fully back. So we don't know if he'll play, but I would love to see him play. If he doesn't, let's throw Job and Ricks and Ringo out there.
Get those guys. Ringo, big smile on him. He looked very good. I mean, he made some plays. That's what I'm going to say.
Even earlier this season, Ricks has let up some big plays, but he's also done. He's had some great time on the field. Yeah. He's had a lot of experience put into him this season.
That's good.
I just how I feel about Bradbury. I just don't have. I don't have much hope for the rest of the season with him. Rest of his career, really. I mean, it's just a bummer. But
I'll tell you this much too. We get an interception this week, I'm going to buy a beer to everybody out there.
Dude.
Not at the bar, out there.
Okay.
So you got to come down.
Yeah.
We definitely, we just haven't had any turnover. Goodness
gracious.
It's
bummer. I mean, we've had 6 interceptions this season. Last year, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson had 6 himself.
Yeah.
Last year, Slay had 3. Bradbury had 3. Reed had 1 or 2.
Yeah.
Even what Josiah Scott had 1 or 2 last season too.
We haven't had a fumble recovery or an interception.
It's been a while. I mean, in Tampa Bay, I think we had a fumble recovery. Jalen Carter. That's.
I know we did get one in a few games ago, but I can't remember.
The last pick I can remember was Miami.
Okay, I think we did get one
because we had one in Miami. Slay had one
because we won the turnover battle in one of those games. Maybe the Buffalo game or something.
We might have had one in Washington too when we played Washington. The second time, I think Reed had one to end the game. Oh no, I'm sorry. We had one in the Bills. I'm sorry.
Right, I was going to say
we had one against the Bills.
Yeah, I thought so.
Okay,
still, I think we had a 2-to-1 ratio for the turnover battle in that game.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I can't remember what the fumble. Somebody fumbled too. I'm almost certain, but
interesting. Yeah. Oh yeah, Kelsey fumbled. Yeah,
yes,
Kelsey fumbled. We threw Mahomes.
That's right, at the 5-yard line. Huge.
It's funny because I'm looking at the Bills game. We had to pick against the Bills.
Right.
But man, it just feels like that was 4 years ago. It's so funny. That's only 1, 2, 3. It's the 4th game ago.
Yeah.
And it feels like that's
like last season.
It's a whole season ago. My God.
It's true though. It's true.
I've gained I've lost so many years on my life these last few weeks. I don't remember that.
The turnovers have been just
abysmal.
Yeah, it's been.
And the worst part is, and the bad part is it's one thing if your offense turns it over a lot, and the defense gets turnovers a lot, it levels out. But this season, it's been the opposite of last year. We never turned the ball over last year. It was so rare. This year, last year, we got turnovers all the time.
Yeah.
This year, it's the opposite. The defense can't get turnovers ever, and the offense turns the ball over.
We had 3 fumbles a few weeks ago. That was just brutal.
Dallas.
Brutal.
Yep. That's bad. Going on to other news, some stuff I'm excited about. 76ers are now 19-8. They had a big win against Minnesota on Wednesday. That was the number 1 defensive team in the league, so that's awesome. Embiid is averaging 35.1 this season. Wow. In his last 10, he's averaging 39.6, 12.5 rebounds per game, and 5.1 assists per game. They did lose yesterday, or am I? No, I'm talking about the Flyers now. I'm sorry, jumping over to the Flyers. But the good thing to see is the Sixers are still keeping it nice and easy.
Right.
They're just keeping me happy with Maxey and Embiid and some of those role players. I'm happy. The Flyers is what I'm talking about. They lost yesterday. They do play tonight. They had a 9-game point streak, which is pretty cool.
Okay.
9 games in a row.
That's a win or a tie.
Yeah, nine games in a row. They gained points, so that's awesome.
That's pretty good.
They're no longer in the wild card. They're now placed second in the Eastern Metro Division. So they are now,
nice.
They're not just a wild card team. They're up there in the actual
right.
division names and everything like that, which is cool to see. Behind the Rangers, a team I don't really.
Now you just got to maintain.
Yeah, that's right. You just got to maintain. Get some points every single game. That's get a point, get 2.
Sure.
And if you lose, don't lose big. But
right.
But yeah, good refreshing stuff to see there, especially right now with the Eagles being rough. Just good to see some other sports doing well. Before I do my next thing, do you have anything else you want to say about the game, Dad?
No, not really.
Not
just
we
need this win, just like last week. We need the win.
That's the other thing that's been hard is, the last few weeks, I think the Eagles they built up this too big of a obstacle. You know what I mean? So do some of the fans. We got to win the next 4. We just got to win out. You win the division. Just got to win out. You win.
Right.
Win this game.
Yeah.
You should have won the Seattle game.
Right.
Win that game.
If you followed that pattern last week when you're at their 45, you're going to win the game because you're just going to win the game.
Just win the game. We don't have to win all 4.
No.
You need to win this one.
Yes.
Then you can win the next one, but win
That's
this
right.
one. Just
Yes.
win this one.
Yes.
Win this one first.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big thing is they built up a little bit too big of an obstacle. They need to win the next 4. They just need to win the next one.
Right.
And then we could talk about the next one after that. But we just win this one.
Yeah.
Little surprised I didn't tell my dad about this, but I wrote a little poem last night.
Oh,
I
wow.
want to share on here. I wrote a little Christmas poem. You
All
ready
right.
for it?
Nightmare before the Eagles game?
Kind of, yeah. in a way. All righty. You ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. It's hard to be excited for Christmas this year. The Eagles haven't helped us to gain much cheer. They've been beaten and bullied 3 weeks these last, and that's putting it lightly. Those teams kicked our ass. But look forward we must as we play these next 3. Division winner or wild card, still waiting to see. Giant games with New York, a bird showdown with the Cards. Please send them both packing with a firm kick in the nards. All jokes aside, one thing looking forward to is that this time of year is when we see who is a real fan. For when a season ends badly, we see what fans are true. For some of us fans, we don't bleed red nor bleed blue. I'll say this both pleasantly and quite serene. For me, my dad, and Frankie's, we all bleed green. No matter the heartbreak, thrilling, whatever outcome, rooting for our birds is to us the most fun. So crack open a Yangling and sip it with joy. Watching the birds around Christmas, it's like getting a new toy. Now I'll wrap up this verse with a tear in my eye, and I'll leave you with this. Merry Christmas, go birds, and fly Eagles fly.
Nice. Very nice. Yeah.
So that's kind of our goodbye. So I don't want to do the whole goodbye spiel, but other than that, you got anything else to say, Dad?
I do not. Let's win.
All righty.
Oh, I do. One more thing.
Oh, go ahead.
Merry Christmas to all our listeners.
Yep.
We have a lot of faithful listeners, and we're hoping that we get some more. Thank you for subscribing. Thanks for hitting the like button. And you guys all have a great time. We'll see you after the game.
Yep, Monday night.
Hopefully not like we did last week.
The last
very
3 weeks.
Cheerful effort.
Yes, yep. All right.
And I got one of these for you.
From us here at our Eagles Therapy Podcast, I'm Basil.
And I'm Baz.
Go Birds.
Fly, Eagles, fly.